actually make it on Big Brother. That was really one of the things I thought, and that pushed me going forward, is that if I can reach more people, you know, like this whole community of people that I know do tons for charity and for helping, and so the ability to just reach like one more person in itself was pretty amazing. So yeah, so thanks for having me here. I love I love doing stuff for charity, but I love being here regardless.
Mm-hmm. You gonna come walk with us next weekend? Or are you busy?
Depending on the date, I will definitely come.
Next Saturday it starts at 5.
Okay.
And it's either you can do 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers, or 10 kilometers. It's the coldest night of the year walk.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I'll definitely consider coming with you guys for that.
Trying to raise money for. So
awesome.
Beef jerky, just
got whatever you need. Yeah.
Slowly.
You're feeding me.
Oh,
I've just been crushing the snacks myself.
I just downed like 6 of those dumplings.
I know. I walk in the door and it's like gyoza. It's crazy. Cupcakes, gyoza.
I hope the audio sounds good. If anybody's listening, shoot us a message. Let us know if it sounds weird.
Mama Parham just came through and said it's no static.
Beautiful. So it must be this thing.
Rock on,
Mama Parham. I'm going to have to
just be
upgrade a few things going forward. So I'm just trying to get this out onto the social media platforms.
So
if you get it on Twitter, let me know so I can
Okay. Well, you're at Sarah BBCan on Twitter too? So
BBCan too.
BBCan too, yeah.
Yeah.
What's our listener?
That's me. Follow me.
Happy Naughts. So we got a few.
So I don't know a ton about your Big Brother experience. When did you do it? When was Big Brother handed?
Like now, it was like so long ago.
Long time ago.
It was 2014 was my season. So season 2, we've had a season 3, and actually season 4 is just getting ready to launch coming up.
Are you on it?
I am not on season 4. No, they have new contestants every season. And so it feels like forever ago, but in some ways it feels like just yesterday. And you get locked into a house and basically emotionally and physically tormented for...
Where was the house that you were...
So the house is in Toronto.
Okay.
And I basically, for people who don't know Big Brother, the way I describe it is like Survivor in a house. So you're evicting people, you're trying to be the last one standing, there's competitions, things like that, but it's all while being locked into this
you're kind of stuck in a small space.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean...
It is very claustrophobic.
I can understand how that would...
And you're basically put in there with people strategically picked to piss you off.
Right.
So that's also fun.
Do you know Greg Merritt at all?
Of course. Ginger Ninja.
What?
How do I not know Greg? We were just talking this morning.
Really?
Yeah.
He was my baseball coach.
He was. He's quite a baseball coach.
You know what? He is... there was a lot of things. I don't know if he's ever listening to you. Him and I didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. Oh, really? He was...
well, fuck you, Greg, then.
I enjoyed my time with Greg.
Yeah.
He taught me things about baseball and just...
Yeah.
So how do you know?
He played in professional system for a while, and he's just playing in Coquitlam and stuff. I believe with some of the guys. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but him and a guy named Jim Chapman, who is a scout locally for major leagues, they were running a program called the Cave Ducks, and yeah, Greg was the coach with that. So
crazy.
Yeah.
So he was on season 3. So did you watch his season?
You know what? I tuned in one day, saw him on TV, shook my head, and turned it off.
Yeah. He was a bit of a wild. He was a bit of a wild one on his season for sure.
I could see the possibilities of that happening.
He's one of those guys where honestly, like he's very intense. Like what he believes is like. But on the other side, like if you had him in your corner, like fighting for you for something, it's like it is a done deal.
Yeah.
You know, so.
My fondest memory of him, we were down playing...
if there is a fond one, that's good there.
This is one of the things...
See, Greg, never mind. I take back my fuck you.
We were down in the States playing at Lewis and Clark, and me and the whole team kind of vanished and missed a curfew and just went to a party with a volleyball team we had met. And me and one of the younger guys... I think we had a couple 18-year-olds on the team at the time, and I was like, I should probably get this guy back to the hotel. It's getting pretty late.
Yeah.
So we were walking by as Greg was driving out of the hotel.
Oh, my God.
To go out somewhere, and he just had the window down and said, curfew, 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 curfew. And we're like, where are you going?
Yeah. He's going to the party.
3:30 in the morning, and then everybody was pretty drunk, and we were in the hotel, and people were throwing pizza in the hall, and we got in big trouble the next morning. Had a fine, and we got a speech about not being leaders, and
From Greg?
Greg was there throwing pizza
Oh.
with us, and I was just kind of like,
That sounds
you were
like
there
him.
too. Why?
Yeah.
Why are you tearing into us? You're the coach. we're the leaders, right?
I love that that's
He was your coach?
I love
He
that
was my
that's your
coach.
fondest memory.
Yeah, no.
Is this the coach?
We
Hold
had-
on.
we had some good
Is this the
times.
coach who you told me paid you $1,000?
No,
No?
I had another coach give me $1,000 to.
No, now you have to finish. I'm like seriously
Aw.
intrigued.
A lot of guys in baseball chewing tobacco spit, and he wanted.
Ew, mother!
Yeah, for some.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's
We
awful.
were like 20 years old. I was on
Oh
Red
my
Deer.
God.
I was broke. We were,
that
didn't have
sounds
any
to me like
money.
something Greg would do, though.
Yeah.
I could.
Well, after what you were just saying,
I
was
feel
oh, it
like
must
you've
have been
had
the
like a
same
real
guy.
shit.
It's sports teams. Everybody has fun. You're young kids on the road, and
All your coaches are
no, well,
one shake away from just being tossed in the loony bin. Close to it.
I
No
guess
no
no
comment.
No comment.
If you're a coach and
Not
you're
really.
watching,
I've had-
just kidding.
I respectfully decline.
I've had really good coaches over the years, and especially the guy out in Red Deer there, Tanner Osberg. He was awesome. Taught us a ton. But again, he was young,
Yeah.
liked hanging out with the guys, and
Yeah.
we all had a good time. But when it came to baseball, we took it serious, and he taught us a lot. And it was a good. That was the best summer for baseball for me that I ever had before
Yeah.
everything shut down.
Crazy.
But
Well, there you go. We're basically like.
so where did you finish on your season then, ranking wise? First one out?
No, thank God. Could you imagine? No, I was
third?
No, I was sixth out,
6th.
and they call that
Oh,
pre-jury.
no, you were first out on the first challenge, weren't you? The ice one where you were standing on
No,
the ice.
I still
think that
wasn't
was the only
first
episode
out on
I
the.
watched.
I was second out on the first challenge. But the
Okay.
thing is with Big Brother is honestly, you really don't want to be. You don't want to win first.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a like you actually if you watch it, anybody that wins that first challenge, they're out within the first, I would say, 5.
People think they're strong and they
Well,
want them
not
gone.
necessarily, but when you win first, it kind
You
of
get
gets to
a-
your head.
yeah.
People are scared of you right off the bat. You can't build like true trust with people. It's kind of and plus
Did you really build any true trust with anybody?
I would say I thought so, and honestly, this is something that just happened. A couple podcasters just did a top 10 BB Can players, and they gave me an honorable mention because they all thought that socially, like had I not made a couple fatal flaws my week, that I had a really good shot because I was building trust with everyone. And even though I was the oldest woman in the house, I wasn't on my own. I was kind of in there with everybody and had great relationships with everybody. And I think that speaks to it outside the house now. We're all, other than a select few, we're all really good friends. Everyone still comes to me with things that they need advice on and
Did you
vice
guys
versa.
get together much?
I think we get together as much as we can. I mean, life is busy, right? Especially me. I have kids,
Do they
a husband.
have events like Big Brother events?
There's
for
lots of
ex-
Big Brother events, yeah, and we do gatherings together. We're going to be watching the season opener together and stuff like that. So yeah, so I would say there's definitely 2 annual events that we always go to, and then just whenever we get together as
I
friends.
always wondered because all the with the Bachelor, I used to be a religious Bachelor watcher when I was younger. They'd have the Bachelor pad with all old contestants,
I
right?
don't know how you
Yeah.
watch it.
So I was curious if you guys had a.
I can't even.
I can't watch it now, but before I was just
Really? You're done?
enthralled
You're
with
over it?
I just don't have time to
Yeah.
sit down and watch the Bachelor.
It's just
Yeah,
not
that's
re-
true,
like-
and it's so many hours now
I-
too. I mean, I watch it, so
I guess it's if you can get over the fact that it's bullshit, then I think. Well, if you can honestly watch it as
take that,
simply
Bachelor.
entertainment,
yeah.
I guess I could see, but I just can't.
I get emotionally connected
cannot
to
get
it, and then
over-
it's
yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, see, and that's what it's like with Big Brother too, right?
How do
Any
you get
reality
emotionally
TV
frustrated to that? Or,
because there's some genuine people there that actually want a
are you
relationship.
honest? Serious?
Oh yeah, and then there's a bunch of people who are just there to be on TV, and then a bunch of people who
This
are just
is the
there
end
'cause
of Happy Knots, everybody. I appreciate that you guys tuned in for the short period that we were.
So funny. I did hear an interview with The Bachelor Canada recently because he is now the host of Chopped Canada.
Okay.
And he did kind of let the cat out of the bag that producers
Influence it. Pretty strongly.
influence who you keep. Now, I always assumed that if you get rid of everybody dramatic right up front,
gonna
what
be
kind of show
boring.
is that, obviously?
Yeah.
But at the same time,
If you're narrowed down to 3, why do the other 8 matter?
exactly.
Let them do it for their ratings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I think, what they do is they kind of say, look, this, and this person are getting great, or we can see we'll have good ratings, but you do what you want, but we love them. And then you kind of make the decision on your own, right? I don't think they actually come right out and say yes or no. But also the thing is, like, I got that question all the time, and literally, like, nothing on Big Brother was scripted, or nobody told me to do anything.
Talking about you, yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't probably be able to come out and say if it was anyways, but I wouldn't adamantly like be on the side of it definitely wasn't scripted. Like anytime I went into the diary room, nobody told me what to say. No, they're behind the scenes watching everything happen. So can they manipulate stuff from the outside? Probably.
Sure, the way
like,
they do challenges, and they know
Exactly.
who might be stronger in this.
Exactly.
And it's not they. I think when they cast it, they're almost scripting it. Do you know what I mean? Like they specifically get certain personalities to put in,
right.
to clash or
Right.
to, form their teams or whatever, and then they edit the show to look. And the
For
parts
sure,
how
they
want.
follow whatever storyline is because there's
Exactly.
lots of things going on, right? But they also do things specifically to cause, without even having to manipulate people specifically. They starve you.
Yeah.
When you're on slop, you can't eat anything but this sludge that they give you. So that puts you in an absolutely psychotic mind frame. They mess with your sleep. Like some nights we probably got 2 or 3 hours of sleep. They keep you up super late and then they wake you up in the morning. You don't know what time it is. You can't see the time. You can't talk to
You don't know what
anybody.
time it is ever?
No idea what time it is. We would go outside to where the hot tub was, which was the only outside spot we had, and we would just try to figure out the time based on the sun.
Yeah.
And some days when the days
That's
would
pretty
drag
wild,
on
yeah,
because you
know.
had nothing to do. So you would I would remember just going outside and it's still light out, being like, fuck, when
Just want to go to
when
bed.
is it bedtime? This day is never ending. So it does completely turn you into a lunatic in there without having to specifically manipulate.
What was the prize?
$100,000, $25,000 gift card to the Brick, and a trip around the world.
Wow.
That's wicked.
Yeah. So it's it's a decent prize.
What made you decide? I mean, we've talked about it, but for
Yeah.
people who what made you decide to go for it? I mean, I know you, so I'm aware that it's not something I would put past. It's totally
Right.
right in your wheelhouse. So,
I feel like I'm just the kind of person when if a crazy opportunity comes up, if I can do it, I'm going to try, right? And when you audition for something like that, some people say they thought for sure they were going to get on, but most people audition hoping, but never actually believing they would get on. And I remember even the morning of my audition, we're lying in bed, and my sister, she slept over the night before, and I'm just like, it's so early, we really don't have to go. And she's like, you're going. Because I just thought to myself, it's a waste of time. It'd be a cool experience, but
it was in person?
it was in person.
Oh, I
so
thought you
an
did it the
in-person.
video. That was down the road.
I did an in-person one.
Okay.
I think I'm just better in person. I've done a couple things on video, and I just didn't like how it came out. So I thought, let me meet them and kind of connect with them and whatever. And so then the further along in the process you get, and you have to actually decide, holy shit, am I actually going to do this now? And that's when you think about your life and how it could affect you and all those kinds of things. And then you just make the final decision of...
How were your husband and kids with it when you went?
Well, Jay said to me, as soon as you said you were auditioning, I knew you were getting on. So he
Yeah.
kind of, was in his mind already knew. The kids didn't know because everything with Big Brother is very secretive. So had they known, they're kids, right? They can't keep a secret, right? So they literally
And that was 2
didn't
years
know.
ago, so, yeah.
They didn't know until I was already kidnapped and taken and sequestered and gone.
Okay.
Because they cut you off from everybody. So once I was gone, Jay was like, by the way, Mom's gone on Big Brother. So I didn't get to see how they reacted to that. But everybody did pretty good. They got to see me 3 times a week on TV. So honestly, I think I missed them more than they missed me.
And they could tune in online.
And they could tune on
anytime,
online
right?
24 hours a day. Exactly.
That's when I saw it after dark when we'd work night shifts. I used to, do a 12-hour night shift.
Yeah,
and we'd
yeah,
be sitting
yeah.
around at 3 a.m. trying to stay awake. And
Yeah. And there's Big
when
Brother.
Greg was on it, I was like,
Yeah.
we got to throw this on for an hour. See what's
Exactly.
going on. But
So we kind of touched on it a little bit. So you're able to use your fame to positively. Is there any other things that you think that this affected your life for the better?
I mean, I definitely think before Big Brother, I was a bit of a control freak. I still am a little bit, but way more before. And when you're put in a situation where you have to completely let go, completely, like you have no control, I think that is something that I brought into my other life of just like chilling the fuck out and not being so stressed about everything all the time. And then I think also I did grow a thicker skin. I mean, when you have thousands of people that say whatever they want to you on social media, about you, to you, you kind of really have to dig deep and be like, okay, like, am I a good person? Like, what the hell's going on here? So I would say I grew strength in that. And also just like learned that I just needed to let go a little bit more in life in general.
So if someone came to you and said, I'm thinking about, trying out for the show, what would your advice be to them as far as, possibly, what are that personality traits they already have, things about you that maybe ways you should be if you're going to be able to handle this?
So I think even, people warned me going in, and I think it's one of those things like, having a podcast, like nobody really understands what goes into it until you actually do it. So it's kind of one of those things, but I would say, realize you have to have a strong confidence, number one. The people that I've seen that have gone through the show that are a little bit insecure have been, had a really hard time coming out of it. I would say, actually, Jordan Parhar, the person that I was hoping would be here with me today, he just put out a top 10 list of must-knows for Big Brother. So if you guys can Google that, it's really, really good.
Do you want to Google it?
Sorry, what was that?
Jordan Parhar, top 10 things to know when going into Big Brother, and it's just,
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, it's so good. Like he kind of hit all the points spot on, but it's just it's really one of those things you can't prepare for emotionally, in my opinion. I think if you are a Big Brother fan, then just watch as much Big Brother as you possibly can before you get in there, so you can see where other people made mistakes, where other people thrived. But at the same time, everything depends on who you're in there with. If one person in there thinks you're a threat,
done.
Your whole game could go out the window and you have to change. So don't be afraid of change. That was my problem, is I didn't flip fast enough. And I was thinking I could just drag it out a couple more weeks. And so that would be my biggest tip then, is don't be afraid of change. When you have a gut feeling about something, do it, because you could be out the door pretty fast.
I can't find his top.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll see if I can.
All you listeners out there, if you're interested.
I remember you shared it on Facebook, so I'll see if I can find it. So you touched on the social media aspect and the negatives that can come from that you kind of learn to let roll off your back. So on that kind of same path, I'm curious, like the way social media is and how fast it's morphing. You do a lot of stuff with your kids, like little Snapchat videos and stuff like that. Have you had conversations with them about social media and the dangers that it actually can? Like, I'm not saying it's dangerous, but there are dangers present when it comes to that for 100%. Kids of your daughter's age.
I think that, I don't know if we've talked about this before or not, but I think that our generation of parents, including you guys when you become parents, is that we're the first generation that really doesn't understand what our kids are going through, because we didn't have social media from elementary school to the end of high school, right? It kind of came to us
we could adapt
closer to the end, right?
That's something we're going to talk to somebody later about who's in the education system, is how the time has completely changed.
Exactly.
And what are differences that kids have to go through now.
Exactly. And so that's something that I honestly don't understand. Now, I do feel lucky that Big Brother threw me into the social media spotlight in a way that now I do understand Twitter. I do understand, I know where to go. I know where the secret shit goes down, right?
Yeah.
So yes, that is something. I mean, my kids are only 10 and 11. They both have Instagram, and that's their first social media app that they have. And they were allowed Instagram because it was the one social media app that I could find that really does lock down your social media site unless you're friends with them. And so I thought it was a good kind of stepping stone, but it's definitely scary. I mean, my daughter's in middle school, and they're having a social media person come and talk to them about the dangers of social media. So I think they should do that more personally. I think they should have that once or twice a year, like from now until the end of time, because not only social media, but the ability to text and the online bullying and all of that stuff that's happening right now.
And just the putting your information out.
Totally. Totally.
Understanding that once you put it online, someone can find that for the rest of time.
Totally. And so I think that's why one of the reasons I let them finally get Instagram is because I thought it's private enough that people can't hack into their shit.
Yeah.
And secondly, as they post stuff, if they make a mistake, we can talk about it. The only harm that's done is their friends have seen it. And then we can kind of say, okay, here's why this is not a good idea. Here's why, oh, wow, this is a great post. This is awesome the way you did. You know what I mean? So kind of give them the good and the bad of what they're doing. Because they're young. Adults can't even control themselves on social media. We have adults literally harassing people they don't even know. And we expect our 10 and 11-year-olds to know how to behave on social media. It's crazy.
So what is it specifically about Instagram that they are able to lock things, or like what do they do to...
So you can lock it so that they have to request to follow you.
Okay.
And so basically, like if they see the name of someone requesting to follow them that they don't know, then they don't have to have them on their thing. So that's just, and I know with Facebook, like if one of your settings is off, sometimes you can get in. With Twitter, like there's all these ways to see someone's Twitter. Like if you're not logged into Twitter and you Google someone, like you can see all the shit that they posted, right? So there's so there are ways around it, but I haven't found that there's a way around it with Instagram. So that's why I just felt like, okay,
that's the safest one for them.
In my opinion.
My aunt, or my cousin, sorry, same thing. Her kid, I think, is 11 or 12, and the same thing. She's allowed to Instagram, but I think that's the only one that she has.
No Snapchat, none of this other shit that's out there. Like,
it's good. We were even my cousin too. There, she was explaining her 3 kids. Like, what are you gonna do? Her kids were asking for her to use Facebook, and she said, when you can have your teacher, your aunt, someone you work with, your employer, just all these people in the same room at a dinner table, and have a nice conversation.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's when you can have
all
Facebook.
that social media.
Interesting.
So I look at the issue of just this for kids of that generation, the constant. They're always putting themselves. They're always in front of a camera.
Yes.
And I that's what I fear.
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be this like, I don't know if neediness, but this like I feel like the kids are gonna seek so much more attention of that generation because of that.
Yeah. And I hear what you're saying, and I think you're right. They definitely are going to, their self-esteem and their self-confidence. There's going to be a small part of it that is attached to their social media and their likes and things like that. Is that necessarily the worst thing? I mean, to us, it seems like it because we didn't grow up that way. But I almost feel like when we say, oh, these poor kids growing up, like I feel like that was what our parents said and the generation before us, right? Everybody always said about, oh, these poor kids, like in my day, we played with dirt and stones. And so our kids are going to be saying that about their kids too, right? There's going to be something new. Next generation of kids they're going to have to deal with. Oh, these poor kids, now they have to whatever. I can't even imagine what the next generation of kids are going to go through, really.
Well, I think you're going to get to the point where you don't even need to worry about social media because you're going to be able to read each other's minds.
That's so
seriously, that's where it's going.
Yeah. But even as a parent of 2 kids that are constantly on FaceTime with their friends or constantly filming videos, like now, I remember my daughter even just came into the bathroom the other day with her iPad. She's FaceTiming her friend like, hey, can I go over to so... And I'm like, I'm sitting on the fucking toilet and you're on FaceTime with your... Like,
the privacy
what is happening here?
Gone.
No, totally. It is gone. And they don't care, though. It's like they don't value privacy the way... I mean, I think even we value privacy less than our grandparents, per se. Like, could you see your grandparents putting all their shit on Facebook? Never.
No.
But so slowly...
It's funny, though, because we're so private when it comes to our living space.
Yeah.
And that one shut off. Our living space and neighbors and I feel like community wise we're not nearly as open and public as we used to be. Even when I was like 6, 7, 8 living in Chilliwack, block parties and everyone knew everybody.
Yeah.
They did because you're banging on everybody's door in your neighborhood.
Exactly. And it's weird that's weird now, but yet you can interact and say whatever you want to anyone on social media.
We used to, rollerblade up to Ryan's house and knock on the door.
Yeah.
Hey, come play hockey.
Not a text, not a call. now if I just showed up at someone's house, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah.
Can't call? Like,
Yeah, no, I hear that. And even I've said to friend or the kids sometimes, like, they're like, oh, well,
There it is.
so-and-so isn't answering me. Well, then go knock on their door. Like,
Yeah.
take
There it
your
is.
bike. And then they just don't. So,
Found it finally. You post way too much fucking shit.
sorry.
Just
I know.
scrolling, and then I'm like,
I
okay,
know.
where am I now? January 27th? Jeez, I'm like, been scrolling.
People tag me on a lot of shit, too.
So let's see, what do we got here? Top 10 things. We'll just ramble these off. See what you think. So, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like,
Where's
descriptive
number one?
stuff, but maybe you can... I can't remember.
Number one, start growing a thick skin if you haven't already.
There you go. See how that's number one thing.
Yeah. Number two, if you're a dork and a hot girl or a guy likes you, it's probably for the wrong reasons.
So in his situation, because when you go into the house, that's kind of what he's talking about. Like, don't
Okay.
forget who you are. Like,
Yeah.
in real life, hot chicks
Right.
weren't throwing themselves at him. So when they were in the house, he should have clicked into, like, okay, there's
Right.
something going on here. They're playing me, as opposed to just being like, oh my God, wow, look at this hot chick. That's
So if hot chicks weren't throwing themselves at me, I should think something's wrong.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Exactly.
I wish that was true. Your real friends are at home.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's basically when you're in there, you feel, because nobody else is around, and the lack of connection, lack of touch, lack of everything is so intense that you could swear that the person sitting next to you was your best friend, even though you've only known them for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what he's saying about that.
24, by the way, you broke the record for viewers today.
Woo! Record breaking!
exciting. People listening in, if you haven't liked or followed our page on Facebook at Happy Naughts,
it.
please do so right away.
We got lots of interesting
We are
stuff.
we are
fun
doing
stuff
giveaways
that
as we get our likes. We're giving away a $100 iTunes gift card tonight.
Tonight
Amazing.
for
Because
our
our-
last eight,
Really?
between 8 and 9, we'll give
That's
away
awesome.
so we've basically taken everyone who liked it the first 100, and everyone's involved in that giveaway.
Amazing.
And then we'll do another one at
Good
500. Don't lose sight of who you are. We kind of touched on that already.
Mm-hmm.
Give back to the fans.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one, because there are some people, once they leave Big Brother, that... Well, here's the thing. Fans can be brutal.
Yeah.
Fans can be amazing, but fans can be tough. And so don't let the ones that are shits ruin it for the rest
Yeah.
of them. Because, honestly, if it wasn't for those people, like, nobody would give a shit who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So... give them the time. If somebody comes up to you, take a few minutes to talk to them. Show up at events. Engage with people when they're there. Like the ability to actually make someone so happy just by showing up. Like, what a gift that is. So
Yeah.
don't squander that shit.
Yeah.
That's-
I
that's what that
totally
means.
agree with that. That's almost, you can, it's a little different, but it's the same kind of thing that you should feel good that you're making someone else happy,
Totally.
right? Don't
Totally.
assume Big Brother will fix all your problems.
Yeah, a lot of people go into it thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be on Big Brother. My life is going to change. No, you're still going to be the same schmuck you were before you went in. Just utilize
Yeah.
as much as you can and build on that.
That-
But don't assume that just because you're going to Big Brother that now all of a sudden...
People do that with a lot of stuff. People
Oh, so much.
expect, oh, I just got a new job. Oh, my life's going to change totally for better. I mean, yeah, it could be a great experience, but, if there's other things in your life that you're not happy with, it's not going to make you feel better about yourself.
Totally. Yeah.
Avoid minor miscues. I don't know what that's about.
It's probably more...
Oh, when you're on Big Brother, when you're in the Big Brother house, people will use anything they can to put a target on your back. In an effort to avoid that, I advise not committing any of these minor offenses in the house because they will annoy people.
Oh, okay.
Like wash your hands, clean your dishes,
Oh, yeah.
just stuff like that.
Yeah, and you know what? It's crazy because you have nothing to do.
Yeah.
So when somebody does something, even if in real life it's really not that big a deal, it's like you have nothing else to talk about. So everyone's just going to harp on how Coco didn't wash his fucking dishes. Because what else are we going to talk about?
Which
Oh,
I
there he
totally
is, left another dish.
Would not actually in that situation I would.
Yeah.
It's weird. I if I'm at someone else's house or anywhere, I'm the cleanest person.
Yeah.
For the most part, I would say, but not even close to how I am at home.
Yeah.
I always cook dinner and leave it till the next day.
Yeah.
'Cause have self-awareness. It's okay if you sucked.
Oh yeah, so that was another thing is because people sometimes come out of the game and they just are so defensive. It's like, you know what? It was just Big Brother. If you fucked up, just admit it. You fucked. People
Says,
will be.
take for example Sarah Bess Miller.
Yeah, exactly. That bastard.
Don't let the game consume you. I'm not sure what that.
I think that's.
Oh, if you
more-
think you're gonna win before going in, you're not like, be realistic about.
Yeah. Yep.
And like life, Big Brother is what you make of it.
Yeah.
And those are pretty.
I thought that was pretty decent.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you take the time, like if you guys
Gets
are out
the points
there,
across
yeah,
that you
if
really
you can
wanted to when you were
totally, and if you can take the time to kind of read, there's little paragraphs under each one that kind of explain each point, and I hope that some of the Big Brother season 4 people who are out there getting ready to get kidnapped and sequestered had a chance to look at that because I thought it was a really
That's
good
got to
tip.
be pretty wild. I guess you have to prepare yourself for the possibility that one day someone is going to show up and
Exactly.
just take you out of there.
Exactly.
That would be.
Yeah, there's a time period where you're basically just waiting.
Your
Yeah.
friend from the show just messaged us on Mixer.
Oh.
I believe you Sanad. I don't know how to pronounce it. Was he not on the show when you were on?
Sanad, I don't recognize.
I don't know why I recognize that. I thought that was one of the guys that you were on the show with, but maybe not.
No.
Anyway, he asked, "Do you eat carrot?"
Do I
So
eat carrot?
I figured that was something to do with the
Oh.
show, or I'm not sure. No?
That's a
I don't know,
random- nope.
It just popped up on here.
No, that's a random question. I enjoy carrots.
Okay.
Um,
He's logged in, so. All right,
well, hello,
fair enough.
Sanad.
We got 2 chats. Let me go here. What do we got?
Amazing.
Oh, I can join the chat. He said, so he said hi, and then he said, "Do you eat carrot?" We love carrots.
Yeah, we do love carrots, and so should you. Even though it's been proven now that carrots don't actually help your eyes,
Really?
they're still healthy for
I
you.
did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
I mean, I could be lying. I can't remember.
What else did you have on your other?
It's crazy the things, though, nowadays that are coming out that aren't actually...
No, I know.
Like, I'm now trying this kind of diet where I don't really eat carbs.
Right,
like-
paleo?
No, well, paleo, it's called
Atkins?
the ketosis.
Oh, that's Atkins.
Kind of.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
basically, your fats and like for years, basically, people were told you need carbs for energy.
Yes.
That's what your body uses,
Yeah.
which is completely false scientifically.
Yeah.
That they've now finally proven.
Yeah.
Is to be the healthiest. Good fats are what you want to be burning,
Fats
and they're
and
the best for
proteins.
your thought process and
Yeah.
brain tissue and all of that. So it's tough.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it's
all
so
the good
hard.
stuff has carbs. So I would never go fully.
Yeah.
But like in the mornings, lunch, and then maybe a little at dinner, I might have some rice or something. But
Yeah.
I try to eat vegetables, meats,
Yeah.
proteins, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It seems to be working.
Though, honestly, like that is basically the basis of Atkins, which has
Okay.
been around for a long time. And it's the only lifestyle of eating that I've found that really actually makes you feel better when you wake up in the morning. Like if you can get through the first week,
Yeah, they say
Which
it
is
takes
like
anywhere from a
withdrawal.
week to 3 weeks to
Oh, it's
kind of.
just
You'll have
rid your
headaches. You'll have
yes.
yeah.
It's basically like withdrawing off drugs.
Yep.
Because honestly, like the sugars that are in the carbs that we eat are basically poison. They're
Yeah.
poisoning us.
Oh, they're so bad for you.
And that's like a whole other. We could do a 12-hour podcast just on
Just-
how sugar is poison.
Well,
But
we talked a little bit about it earlier. With Jamie Oliver's.
oh yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
He's trying to. I mean, I don't know if the whole taxing thing. Like Jimmy made some good points. Like taxing people more for stuff isn't going to make them.
Yeah.
But the awareness.
The purpose
Yeah.
that he's
the
trying to make
purpose
about sugar
is
is
a great. Like
Well,
man, there's sugar in everything.
It's true, and I don't understand why it's more expensive to eat healthier.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so terrible. It is
if
though.
you go to a farmer's market
No, but vegetables are so
and buy
expensive.
buy a couple bags of veggies and
Yeah.
cook
yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
It's also it takes
That's
effort.
the thing. So you're comparing prepared healthy food
Fair
versus garden.
Whole Foods, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
Well,
Yeah.
that's the ideal situation. Like my parents, man, that
Grow a garden.
Yeah.
That thing is a god.
If I could have potatoes, corn, carrots, spinach,
yeah.
cucumbers, could
Yeah.
live no
Yeah.
problem. And a couple cows.
So we're getting close on time. So let's switch here.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the presidential race in the states?
Oh,
How do
you
feel
know
about
how to get me. Is it not like literally just the last few elections just been the most entertaining?
this one for me? And we talked about this. It might be just because we're older, but
Yeah.
this one to me, it's like holy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this one's definitely over the top.
It's hard to follow.
Just characters. So many characters.
Totally. I mean, to be honest, when Obama was originally elected, that was the first presidential race that I really followed
Yeah.
because I think most of us,
Well,
think
it was-
getting, someone that everybody was kind of excited to see change and like, oh my gosh, what a historic event and da-da-da-da. And then leading up to this election, I thought we're going to get this again because Hillary's running and it could be the first woman president. And
Yeah.
so there's going to be a lot of hype around it. And then the whole Donald Trump stuff, to be honest, I've actually, for the first time, the last Republican debate, I didn't even watch it.
No?
Because I was just like,
I didn't
I'm
get to see the last one
so
either.
mad when I listen to these people talk and they're just spewing so much hate
Well, I
and
said that to you.
bigotry and it's just like, it's terrible. So
To go on YouTube, and all I did was I just get the cut down versions.
Yeah.
So it's literally questions,
Yeah.
answers,
Oh,
questions,
okay.
answers.
Amazing.
Oh, I can actually
Going
watch
through the
it.
debates
Yeah.
first.
Yeah,
I think a lot of
can't
a lot of
watch
You know
all
what's
them
the
bickering.
saddest part though is that some of these people that are running don't even actually believe those things. It's just they're playing into the people who
That they
are
are gonna vote for.
Yes.
That's politics, though.
Yeah.
I know, but
That's-
that's what's so sad is they're making it appear. So even the people that are kind of on the fence, like if somebody, because I don't blame people that have a certain way of thinking. If that's how they grew up and that's how they were taught, fine. So then we have these people, these leaders that are supposed to be out there helping make this world better. And they're spewing stuff that they don't even actually believe in their hearts
Garbage.
just for it, which then makes those people that are kind of on the fence be like, damn straight, fuck those Muslims.
Yeah.
Do you know
Well,
what I mean?
that's-
Like
it's-
that's what's happening. Instead of having people
Why is that even?
There's a soundbite.
Yeah,
Sarah
I know.
Bess Miller.
Oh my god. Terrible.
I would never.
Yeah, so we had
Terrible.
Sarah on, and this
Yeah.
is how she
That
feels about
racist
Muslims.
bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the most terrible thing. I never liked Donald Trump. I always thought he was a bit of an ass, but going through this whole process, I've just like absolutely lost any respect that I thought I had for him is absolutely gone.
The Steven Crowder one episode I listened to, he says it best. Everything he attacks, every platform is based off of anger.
Yes.
So
And
he
fear.
supported Ted Cruz until Ted Cruz didn't support him. Then he hates Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
You know, he supported.
His child.
Yeah, well, he
His
was,
mentor.
and he was a Democrat. He supported the Democrats until he ran.
Yeah.
So he's, I don't know. I like like we talked about earlier. I like what he's done as far as pushing the other candidates to be a little more out there and really state their
Opinions and their positions.
exactly. He's making them do that because he's so far even above that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that I like about him. I don't know.
So since the Republicans are shit
Yeah.
on the Democratic side, what are we thinking?
I would rather Republican, to be honest. 100%.
What?
Yeah. On this debate, I think for what America needs, and our economy bases a lot on their economy.
Right.
I don't think it's good if a Democrat gets in. I really don't for them. I don't think either of their. And if I had to pick,
Yeah.
I hate saying it, but I don't know. I don't know because I think Bernie Sanders, while some of his things I agree with as far as healthcare, I think he's way too socialist for North America. Like that's
Right.
not the way
It's not America.
It's not how we run things. It's
Right.
not how
Okay,
our
fair enough.
economy is based.
I can see that.
It would be a complete overhaul of the
Yeah.
entire economic system.
I agree with you with Bernie on that point. I think that he is way too change everything, and there's just no way he's gonna get in, and there's no way he can do everything he wants. It's like I don't even know how he would start. I just think it's really scary to think that one of those people
He's going to be the president.
is going to be the president.
So what
That's
about
almost
it?
what I
What
felt.
about them scares you? Like what about Ted Cruz? What about his platform? Like for me, it's just his. For me, the really the fact that religion is in politics at all,
Yeah.
I find disgusting.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you believe in. You believe in whatever you feel makes your life better.
Yeah.
But I don't think it has a place in politics, and I hate they push that as part of their.
Okay, so tell me, is there one Republican candidate that agrees with gay marriage being legal?
I believe was it Rand Paul? I think a couple of them have even
Are
Ted
they still
Cruz.
in the race? So Ted Cruz
In a conversation that I heard, he's had nothing bad to say about that. Like in an actual one-on-one
Right.
podcast conversation that I heard, it was with Steven Crowder. And can you open the window?
Yeah.
It's steaming up. We're getting heated up in here.
like, is that just my face because I'm with these two hotties, or
he
is
basically said people have the right to live their lives the way
Yeah.
they want.
Okay.
He still has his opinions and his
Yeah.
views on things,
Yeah.
but
I guess and that's fine. I guess what scares me is just the thought that somebody that genuinely believes that humans shouldn't have the right to live how they want to live,
Yeah.
as long as they're not hurting anyone.
you need
could
someone
actually
in
be,
the middle of those two parties.
I agree. And you know what? There's a lot of things that Carly Fiorina was saying
was
that
gonna
I
bring her
really
up.
liked.
I really liked her.
I think she's gotten kind of a shitty deal because there's been so much craziness with these other candidates. There was a lot of times she was speaking that I really liked what she had to say.
Very smart woman.
Totally.
Very
I
smart.
I personally think Hillary is a better choice for me. Everything she says, I agree with. Like when she talks, I'm like, yes, I agree with what you're saying.
She's so
What about your Hillary
She is-
financial
the
scandal?
financial scandal, the email
nonsense?
scandal,
I mean,
she's
was
a
the email
war-
scandal like even the moderators were just like, you're right, fuck it. Like how stupid that we're even talking about this. What financial scandal are we discussing?
Oh, I
Like
don't
the
know
email
what
scandal is
financial-
so
The email
crazy.
scandal. I just know that she had to release her emails because she had been talking about, apparently she was putting out information that she shouldn't have been in her personal emails.
I think she made a personal email, or she made a political email through either her personal or whatever, but it wasn't actually, like when they dug into it, she kept saying like, dig into it. Because once it comes out, like this is clearly just
Nothing.
and so dig into it so that we can put it to bed, but nobody is actually going that far. They're just keeping it out there as like email scandal, right?
Fair
So
enough.
I wish I knew more about it so I could say, okay, yeah, she fucked up. Or, but the thing is too, you have to remember that these people are humans.
I completely.
So
yeah.
when somebody fucks up, I mean, as long as literally you haven't put people's lives in danger by the one mistake you made, we can learn from it and we can grow from it. But she really doesn't have that many things that you can complain about, that
Yeah.
they're taking these small things and trying to turn them into like scandals.
True,
Right?
But that is true. You
So
don't
that's
really
just
hear
how
much.
I feel about that. But because I just don't know enough about it.
She's also very pro-war. Like from everything you hear, she's always in support of the wars that they have gone
Right,
into.
right.
And that's something that kind of scares me with her. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. To be honest, I would rather pick none of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not a choice.
It's going to be interesting, that's for sure. I mean, I think
When are the Democratic and
I think
Republican
the 28th
elections?
is when it's decided.
Like February.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so this month I
So who the
believe we'll
nominee?
know.
But that doesn't mean that Trump can still run for president as a independent.
Independent.
if he wishes.
Do you think he will?
I don't know.
I bet he
really don't
will,
know.
just to keep stirring the pot.
Yeah.
It depends how much money he's going to
What
have
an
to put
interesting
into it.
When he-
thing that would be, eh? If
when
he doesn't get elected
first
in.
started running, I kind of thought to myself, this guy is an idiot,
Yeah.
and everything he's going to do is going to be so offside just to make his point. So even if he wasn't, because he is funding himself anyways, and he does have that small amount, well, not a small amount, he does have quite a lot of people agreeing and following him, I feel like he'll still run as an independent candidate
Yeah.
and just do what he wants, no matter what.
Do you think he has enough people following him? Like, do you actually think, and I apologize if you're a Trump supporter and you take offense to this, but do you
No
think,
need to apologize.
No.
do you think that any or the majority of these Trump supporters are actually educated,
I
like
think some are.
open-minded,
I think some are.
accepting, loving humans?
I think a lot of them.
I'd like to see a
are,
census completed
but
on
I think,
that.
I think it's just that they're not doing any research themselves. I don't think it's about education.
Like
I think they're
they-
hearing sound bits and seeing headlines and they're just jumping on board. Yeah, put up that wall.
They might have
Right?
Trump news highlights on their antenna TV, but
Right,
no
right, right.
internet
Yeah.
to actually dig in to what's happening.
Oh my gosh.
Well, when he first came out, it was more just about the fact that he was being honest, so to speak. He was saying the things
Thomas
that
will have
other
lots to say
people
about
didn't
all
want to
this,
say.
yeah.
But
Do you want to
Now-
stay? Do you want to stay when my buddy calls in from
Sure.
America?
can
Yeah.
you stay for
Do you
another
have
hour? Or sure.
I can stay for a little
Okay.
bit longer, yeah.
Maybe I'll give him a shout here and just see where he's at.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
So I agree with what you're saying. Like when Donald Trump first started running, I was happy and excited, and I thought this is going to put a new spin on it. I do like that he's just says what's on his mind, says what he believes his truth. Does that? So I respect that part of him. Does that mean that what he's saying and what he believes is the right way for America? Like, I just feel like everything he says, and a lot of the Republican candidates, I think, is just taking us a step back. It's not moving us forward. It's putting us back to a place where people were segregated again.
I don't know about that. I mean, I honestly don't think the public would allow that to happen.
Yeah.
So that side of
here's the
it
thing,
doesn't
though.
worry me.
If the public votes in Donald Trump, the public will allow that to happen.
Yes and no.
If enough people vote for him, you don't think he'll have the support to make the changes?
I don't think. I mean, if he wants to put up a wall, I don't know. I guess I'm more look at.
Can you imagine if he gets elected and actually puts up a fucking giant wall?
I just don't see that happening. To
Isn't
be
that
honest,
so
it's so
crazy?
outlandish to me that they put up a wall. I don't see it. I do. I mean, it all depends on your philosophy on countries and borders and all that.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Yeah.
other conversation.
I agree.
But in the sense of, say, gay marriage and acceptance and all of that kind of stuff, whoever you elect president isn't going to change people's view on that.
That's true.
I don't see that happening. What I like about
But
the Republican side is that they're questioning the left and their very loud opinions on some things that should be questioned, in my opinion.
Okay.
You need to question transgender and that stuff. You need to be able to say, is this really right? Should we be encouraging 6-year-old kids that if you think you're a girl, you're a girl? Like, to me,
Right.
do you understand what I'm saying?
I see what
Like,
you're saying.
do what you want to do with your life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's a slippery slope.
Okay,
in my
so
opinion.
my question is, why is that a slippery slope?
Because
to just let kids
confuse
so let's say
the shit out of them.
so let's say a kid, little girl thinks she's a boy
Yep.
and she wants to try it out.
Yep.
What harm will come from that if she tries to be a boy and then realizes, no, that was just a phase, I'm actually a girl?
No harm.
Yeah.
What I don't like is you're forcing people to accept that it's normal, in my opinion. Like, we're basically, this whole thing has come on so fast.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
And the people who are questioning it are getting ridiculed and bashed for it when
Yeah.
I feel like they have a right to
Yeah.
be like, hey, let's take a step back for a second
Yeah.
and really is it normal for us to say, oh, you feel like you're a boy? Okay.
Yeah.
And when they hit puberty, they have a surgery or whatever.
Yeah.
There's stats that show that the people who are going through this stuff, a very high percentage also have mental
Right.
issues.
Right.
And that's my point, is that we need to be able to question it and really scientifically, boys are boys, girls are girls. So whatever is going on is psychological, and I completely agree.
Can you not post that on Facebook ever?
No, but it's true. I don't have a problem if it makes someone
I
a
remember
boy or
your-
a girl happy to
Yeah.
be the other and
Yeah.
act like the other.
Yeah.
All the power to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
Do your thing, but don't act like someone who doesn't really agree with it or doesn't see how that's normal.
Yeah.
Don't act like they're a bad person. For
Right.
that.
So
And that's
here's what I agree with you on. I think that the people who are on this side of the debate can't be volatile or vile or talk badly
damn it.
about this side. What happened?
The thing shut off. I forgot to tell people that we'll be right back.
Oh.
It's off right now?
Yeah, just the mixer is.
Oh, what is that? I don't know what
Like
that
the people listening live.
Oh.
Hopefully, I'll put a message or something if I can on the page.
Maybe,
Sorry, continue.
maybe the universe just saved you from that spiel.
Yeah, maybe that.
No. Are we still actually recording?
No, we're still
Okay,
on.
so basically, I agree with you. Like, when people have different views than you do, that's something that they shouldn't be persecuted for. And I think that, people who are different, that feel like they are persecuted, should actually understand that more than anyone. And so if somebody says, look, I don't agree with you, I don't think that that is reason to be violent or volatile or treat people badly. I think that when people are actively trying to take away people's human rights because they don't agree with something, that's where there's an issue.
I completely agree, but there's that I guess what I'm getting at is that hypocrisy that we're supposed to accept your view and how you think things should be.
I agree with that.
And yet you're
with
attacking us for our views and the way we think.
I agree with that.
In the perfect world, I have my views, you have yours, and as long as we treat each other with respect, regardless.
Do you want Thomas to call on my phone or your phone?
Is he going to be long distance?
Well, he's
you might want to get him to call over Facebook or something.
I think he has a plan because he's from Canada.
No, I know, but I don't know about
I
my
don't
phone.
I don't think receiving a phone call.
Tell him to call over Facebook, because you can do that.
I'm just saying. Then we're listening off the computer.
No, it'll still. I'll have it on my phone. I'll answer it on here.
You want me to call
So you
you?
can get him to call in, and we'll have another opinion on this whole
amazing
American debate, because he's from
living
there.
down there, and he's I see some dried mangoes going on over there.
Oh, they're delicious.
Do you need a refill?
I like them.
I do need a bit of a wine refill.
Would you like some?
Sure.
Okay, I said to call you on the Facebook chat.
Okay. Hold on, I'll go at 1 second.
Do we need to take a break while we get them connected?
Oh my God,
on
they're
here?
so good. I'll take a break.
Okay. I was just we had tons of listeners. Yeah, a bunch of people left. We're still live. I gotta post. I don't know how to post it so people know.
Why don't we put a song on and just take a 5?
Okay. All right. Anybody who's listening, we will be right back. Just gonna put on a little song here and
get organized with the next guest joining us.
Yeah, we're on.
We're back. Okay, we have Thomas Granbois joining us from. Tom, where are you right now?
From Pasco, Washington.
Pasco, Washington. How's life going down there?
Does he need a microphone over there, or is that attached?
Who?
That guy.
Oh, no, it's running through, too.
It is?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's running through.
Sorry, Thomas. Just checking out.
No problem.
We were just going hard on some American politics
and
gender issues that Ryan has.
Yeah, we're going to...
I don't have issues. I'm just saying, hey, if the person is a nice person, I don't care if you're in a dress or... it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me at all. As long as you're a good person.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just think for up to a certain age, we need to be very careful of what we tell kids is okay, in my opinion. Because I think you can just confuse kids even more. That's my own thing. And I think it's already confusing enough.
I just think that the statement you're making... Sorry, Thomas. You're coming in...
No problem. So what am I walking in on here?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get Ryan to summarize.
Maybe we should move on.
You want to move on?
I've got lots of opinions.
Just that comment you made, specifically, like telling kids what is okay, you're implying that being transgender is not okay.
No. I'm not. I'm just saying it shouldn't be something that we are, like, promoting or putting out, like... I just feel like right now it's almost a fad. It's almost like you see it. There are 100% people you see in talk shows and whatever who also have something wrong, who are just looking for attention. And I feel like people are being put out there in the media because it's the thing now.
Yeah.
This is the thing we're being accepting of this now. And I just think it's a slippery slope as far as, just because a kid maybe just is confused for a day or two.
Yeah.
Oh crap. Maybe I'm like I just.
But that's why I asked you if they were.
I can't really hear him very well.
If they were confused and they just decided to be transgender for a couple of years, like what actually is the harm in that?
It's not.
Isn't it better to teach? Is it better to teach our kids?
We should just move on from this subject here.
All right.
Let's get.
So what exactly is the slippery slope, though? The slippery slope is that we will become more accepting of other people? Is that the slippery slope?
It's not about being more accepting. I think, like I said,
Here.
My base is if someone's a good person, I don't care what you're. I just think that there is the slippery slope for me comes in where I think you can confuse kids even more by the way we're kind of promoting this right now in media. And that's the way I
see what you're trying to say. I just think you're wrong.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So is promotion in your mind, is acceptance the same as trying to force conversion then, or? Yeah,
I just think I guess it's so new that we haven't really figured out how to go about it. But I don't think someone who's a kid we should be talking about converting at that kind of an age.
Right.
That, I guess, that's the base for it. If you feel that that's what you are, and you feel like you're gonna, then okay, that's great. But there shouldn't be any talk of anything like converting until you're getting into that age where
I don't think they actually can do any kind of like surgeries or anything like that until, I mean, if you're a kid, they can give you hormones.
I'm just as
like
confused on the whole thing as everybody, and I guess
I
I'm
agree.
just
I
voicing
agree.
the things I see with it that.
Yeah. And here's the thing, though. Like I was saying, I think it's important that people do share their opinions on it. And I don't think that you should be condemned because that's your opinion. I think it's honorable that when you have thoughts like this, that we share them and that we all give our own opinions so that we can move forward towards. Because I think you want what we all want, which is acceptance, and for everyone to just live the way they want to live. So I do think your view on it is a little skewed, but I do understand where you're coming from. I just think it's coming from a place of fear, as opposed to a place of acceptance.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I could agree with you on that. I do. I think I fear.
Chewy over here wants to move on.
I think we should have moved. We should have moved on about 10 minutes ago. It's kind of
it's a hot button topic here, especially here in Washington State now, because there's obviously laws that have been passed surrounding transgender identification and public restrooms and things like that. So it's a hot button topic.
Do you guys
and as long as discussion is respectful, it's really important. Agreed. Here I live on Eastern Washington. A lot of people think of Washington State as Seattle, just like they think of British Columbia as Vancouver.
Right.
Where I'm at here, we're in high desert, where it's hotter and drier than it is in Soyuz, BC, and it is as redneck as it comes here. So the discussion that happens around here is very, very different than you would get in a Seattle or a Portland or a Vancouver or something like that. So it is important to have the discussion. And even if a lot of people talk about social media and engaging with people of opposite opinions and how it's not a good thing because you're never going to change anybody. And I get caught up in discussions, and I'm sure Matt's seen that before. Thomas has commented on this. And Thomas has commented on that, but the goal of commenting or to discussing with people of polar opposites isn't necessarily to convert that one knucklehead who will never change their mind. It's so that third-party viewers who might see that conversation might go, I never thought of that way. That's...
Totally.
Well, that's even a lot of what we were saying earlier about Jimmy's kind of point with Donald Trump's campaign. Like, he's bringing up points that are so offside, but it's kind of raising awareness to certain situations, as opposed to maybe being something that's
swept under the rug.
Swept under the rug, an important political view.
Well, we've become a culture that needs that wow factor to get our attention. Yeah. With how with information be so readily available, the information that sticks is stuff that hits you right away when you see that headline. Unfortunately, we talk about that clickbait kind of mentality.
Yeah. What kind of candidate support are you guys seeing right now, Tom?
Well, I guess it depends. Locally here where I'm at, it would probably be divided Trump and Cruz, I suppose.
Get out of there.
There's your people.
Come
right?
home.
But that's how many. we were just talking about that, Tom, before you came on, saying like what parts of town, and I guess I.
But isn't that interesting? How he said he lives in a very redneck town, and those are the people that are supporting
Donald Trump.
Yeah, not saying anything bad about redneck people. I just think that they like to live in their own little.
But again,
we all do. We're living in.
We all do live in a world,
things are here, right?
Fair enough, but I do think that I think my mindset is better only because I do understand where they're coming from. Like, instead of saying just like they're terrible people, I understand that, okay, here, I can kind of put it all together and see, okay, I can understand why this person is leaning that way. Because they don't have the opportunity to go out and talk to more people and get more opinions and see that life isn't just their one small little town, that there's so much more out there than what they see on an everyday basis. And so I do understand where that's coming from, and I don't persecute them. I kind of feel sad for them, actually.
So I'll give you a bit of perspective. Where I'm at here, the large majority of people who tend to skew conservative would typically have not traveled out to the United States, not as part of an occupying military force. All right, so haven't had a chance to, if they've gone to Japan, it's because they were there on a military base. If they've gone to Thailand, it's because they were there on military shore leave.
Yeah.
If they've gone to Germany, it's because they were living on a military base. It's not because, hey, they wanted to go to Germany and experience something. So their experience, while they may have been able to get outside of that bubble, is totally skewed, because when you're walking around as anybody who's traveled internationally knows, the minute that you say that you're Canadian versus American, your reception from the locals changes like a light switch.
Right. You know what? I think sadly though that's part of the problem, right? Is because Americans go places, they don't get treated the same way. They do get and so then all of a sudden it's ingrained in them that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not helping the problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, carry on.
What, Tom, can you vote this year, or
you bet, yeah. I became a citizen, I want to say 2.5 years ago.
So this will be your first American vote?
This will be my first federal election, yes.
Exciting!
Did you vote in Canada at all this year, or have you not lived here enough to...
I could have put in an absentee ballot, but I wouldn't feel confident enough in my knowledge as to what exactly is going on to vote, so that's why I chose not to. From everything that I know from talking with my peers whom I respect, they all voted Trudeau, and I would have voted for him as well, from what I understand of the parties. But I don't feel comfortable enough to vote, just because I'm not immersed enough in the local politics to really know what's going on.
Where are you leaning towards right now for your personal
What's that?
vote? What are you leaning towards right now for your personal vote?
No matter who, I would vote a Democrat ticket, whomever ends up being the Democrat choice. Now, in the primaries, primary votes don't even really matter to us in Washington State, because the delegates have already been chosen by the time it hits over here.
Okay.
Oh,
I would lean Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie.
So why Bernie over Hillary?
Because he has a better historical record on issues that I feel are important, and also because I also think that Hillary has too many ghosts in her closet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we were talking about this earlier with Sarah about you're saying ghosts in the closet, and Sarah was suggesting that Hillary's told people to dig into the issues. What sort of things are there that concern you?
Well, the whole email thing, which is silly enough as it is, could be a serious issue with her if the DOJ decides to come down on her for that. When you get in and sign a contract saying that you're not going to do X, Y, Z, and then you do it, you should be punished.
No matter how big or small of an issue it is.
Feigning ignorance is no excuse.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
And her track record with. I know that the sins of the husband should not come down on the wife, but Bill is not a typically wonderful person when it came to the ways that, at least allegedly, he treated women. And on the flip side, now Hillary comes out saying, all victims should be heard and all victims should have their moment, where that wasn't necessarily the case against all the people who laid charges against Bill.
Yeah, I guess it's quite hypocritical, right?
So when you say you would put your support towards Bernie, how do you feel about his tax plan, his platform in general? Are there parts of it that you agree with, parts of it not so much, but just as a whole, he's the one you feel is best to move forward?
As a whole, I definitely prefer I prefer him historically. I think that platform-wise, both are very similar. But I'm talking about historical record and genuine reality and the kind of people that they are.
Would you support a Sanders
I think that
Clinton
comparing
ticket?
the two as of today is, you look at them during their debates, and during their debates, they're not talking about your plan today is terrible because of this. The debate is, you're a terrible person, or you're not a terrible person, but you're less electable because you did this X amount of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's whoever has a more proven track record, you know, in terms of gay rights. You know, Bernie Sanders comes out way on top over the Clinton, over Hillary, and you know, things like that. I'm not a single issue voter, but I am a single issue voter, if that makes sense. You know, if a good example of what came up during the last election, during the for Obama's second term, I was down in a meeting in San Antonio. I work in the agribusiness industry, which is typically very conservative. And we were sitting around, and that would also like to go out and drink a little bit, and we were sitting around a bar chatting politics, and I was keeping my mouth shut because I wasn't a citizen at that point. And you know, it came up, and somebody said, "Hey, Thomas, you know, what's your opinion? Who are you going to vote for?" And I said, "You know what, man, my opinion doesn't matter one bit," because I was trying to avoid the question, right? And
you didn't want to get into it too badly with them.
Yeah, exactly. And you know me, Matt. I'm not afraid of it. I'm afraid of getting into it. But you know, when you're on a work trip and you're drinking, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And there was about 7 or 8 guys there, and same question. Hey, who would you vote for? And again, I said, it's not my opinion doesn't matter. I can't vote. And then finally, I said, you know what, dude? Here's the deal: is that I'm from Canada, so that skews my opinion a little bit because my upbringing is different than yours.
Right.
And no matter, I don't like a two-party system because there's no opportunity for nuance.
Right.
But I would have to, it's really frustrating for me. The two-party system's ridiculous. But I said I would skew Democrat, and I said because of this, and this. And one kid from Texas, and I still see him about every 6 to 9 months, he almost jumped across the table to choke me out. And the next day, you know, it was really interesting. A bunch of guys came up and they were like, "Hey, you know what? I'm a Republican. That's the way I'm always going to vote because that's the way my dad voted." But you did a really good job of articulating your thoughts versus, you know, getting aggressive about it and being uninformed. I said, you know, that's the whole point of conversation.
Yeah.
You know, if you're reduced to the point where you're going to choke somebody out just because they got a different opinion and they can articulate it better than you can, then I mean, that's about your personal position.
You know,
that means you made a good argument, is what that means.
Yeah.
You hit points with him where he had to question his own thoughts enough so that he was angry at you for that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I will give Trudeau credit for when he was an MLA or whatever, when he decided to get in the boxing ring and kick that conservative guy's ass. I'll give him straight up credit for that.
Did you watch that video and they're calling him the shiny pony the whole time?
That's a favorite. I love telling people that story. They're like, "What? That happened in Canadian politics?" So I'm like, "Yeah, man. If you go to Parliament, they still have the big mace on the middle table there, just as a reminder that if they want to throw down, they can throw down, right?"
That's amazing.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So if you know, Democrats do end up losing, is there one Republican member that you would like to see get in over another?
No.
I love him so much.
What makes you so strongly against the Republican Party down there?
Yeah,
do you think, like, especially where you're living and how heavy it is Republican, that affects you a lot stronger than if you were in a place that was more Democratic?
Well, no. You know what I think? I guess I said yes. So in my bio that I sent you there, you know, it's funny. When I lived in Canada and when I was younger, I might have said that I skewed libertarian. But that's because I was young and I didn't realize what libertarianism in reality was. And now being surrounded by people like that in an area where people are rampantly, overtly discriminatory and racist, now it's really helped skew my opinion left towards, you know, I'm not necessarily saying that the Republican Party is racist or that they're not, but I'll bet you $1 any day of the week that the racist that you bump into is a Republican, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's a tough analogy for a lot of people that don't get it, but, you know, just like not all priests are going to be child molesting people, but chances are the Catholic Church was hiding a lot of child molesters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one doesn't necessarily mean the other, but there may be some correlation. And And I see the kind of people that would align right and their policies, and I couldn't see myself socializing with them or being a part of their social circle.
Yeah, I found that a lot, like in northern Alberta too. It's so heavily conservative out there, but there's a lot of racism, a lot of just completely right-sided views on things where just I'll listen to people and my thoughts on life are generally towards the right side, but at the same time it was almost like it was too much to listen to occasionally.
Just because your views are different than the people who support the Republican Party, does that mean that you can't support the party because they're going to benefit you as far as economically, as a country as a whole?
Here's the thing. My barber back in Canada, it's funny. He was a Trudeau supporter as well, and somebody commented on his Facebook wall because he's a sole proprietor, he's a hard worker, and apparently economically voting for Conservatives would be better for him personally. And somebody called him out on that, and he said, "You know what? There's more to the world than just me."
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is that I am a healthy, straight, white male who has no issues going for me, so I have every advantage in the world, and I recognize that, and I understand that other people don't, and that's why I couldn't vote for people who claim that there is no difference between the two, or there is no disadvantage of other groups. And sure, I could just vote along whatever benefits me and my particular group, and a young Thomas certainly would have. Matt and I go way back.
Yeah,
we did some dumb things when we were younger, right?
I was a little kid when we first met.
As you get older, you start to realize that there's a lot more than just you out there.
I guess I look at it more simply because I guess just because the people who support the Republicans may, in general, or the people who have these negative.
Okay, so you want policy reasons why I couldn't support the Republicans?
No, sorry, that's not where my question is. More, I was just trying to word it properly here. Just because the majority of the discriminatory people you run into might vote for that party, that doesn't necessarily mean that the people running for that party are just as discriminatory, I guess is my question. Do you feel like you see that in the Republican candidates, that they promote that kind of thinking?
Well, Trump for
sure.
Well,
I mean, obviously Donald Trump does, but I don't think that Donald Trump is a true Republican. He just does whatever will gain him popularity at the time. I mean, you look at historically what he has said. Glenn Beck, it's funny. I listen to a lot of conservative radio because I find it really interesting to hear other people's opinions. And Glenn Beck just rips into Trump all the time, saying that he's not a true conservative because he used to say this or he used to say that. Well, and I'm with Beck 110% on that.
And he donated to Democrats up until basically he ran as a Republican.
Do you follow any?
Yeah, and he was pro-choice. He was pro-gay marriage. He wanted universal health care, and at what moment did his opinion change? Again, people can evolve over time. There's no doubt. Again, we talked about Hillary Clinton. I have no doubt in my mind that she could have changed her opinion since previously. But with somebody like Trump, it's just he can't even cite a time in his life when that change did happen. It's just 100% opportunistic.
Why do you think? Because in my opinion, I think there's so many more Democrats in the U.S. than there are Republicans, and that's just my opinion from things that I've watched and read. Why do you think then? Because I don't think he's a stupid guy, and if he is an opportunist, why would he have not jumped on the bandwagon of change and new way of thinking? This is what confuses me.
No, but he did. He voted for Obama himself.
Right, so that's what I mean. Like in this election, like had he jumped on the Democratic side and really been just like crusading for change and acceptance and all these kinds of things, I think he could have been so much better off. The way he speaks his mind, the way people trust that he just says the way it is, that part confuses me. I wonder if it's because he saw that the Republican side was weaker than the Democratic side, or what it was, because I think he just would have been so much further ahead had he been batting for the team of, like, let's move forward as opposed to let's go backwards.
Well, here's the problem: is that after eight years of one particular party, you get a certain certain fatigue and a certain apathy.
I gotcha. So he thought maybe the Republicans just had a better chance based simply on that.
Same as Harper.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell what's in his heart, but if I were to try and get a group all riled up, there's a fake quote that's circulated around that's accredited to him during a Time interview, like in the late 80s, early 90s, talking about how he would run as a Republican because of their particular voter base, and it's fake, but there's certainly something to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that one cross your wall, but
no, I haven't. I'm gonna look for it though.
I did hear something.
There you go.
There you
go, master podcasters. Go find that one. Go find the Snopes quote and put it up on your podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did hear that when he first started. I was like, well, why didn't he run for the same party that he had been supporting?
Yeah.
And the arguments that I had heard was basically he felt like he wasn't going to win with that party.
Right.
That he didn't even have a chance if he ran with that party.
Yeah. I mean, to me, when I see him like at the Christian schools giving speeches and all these things and quoting the Bible, like, I just literally die inside at how fake and ingenuine that all is.
And I don't understand how anybody can believe any of that. That's the thing that boggles my mind. That people believe that he's a master businessman.
Yeah.
Like, no, quite frankly, he's not.
Right.
I think it was Bloomberg or somebody else posted an article talking about how if he had just taken that money, his inheritance money, and put it in an index fund, he'd be richer today than he currently is.
Right.
And people talk about how he's self-made. No, he's not. He inherited all this money from his father and his grandfather, who were bootleggers. They ran illegal brothels. They were pimps, and it's not like he just he just figured out all this on his own from the ground up.
Yeah.
But somehow there's this mystique and this aura around him that he is this self-made genius businessman. But when you look into his business, where he's filed for bankruptcy twice, not that there's anything wrong with that, but he's certainly fallen a lot on the way. Totally. He's just an amazing promoter.
Do you think that this is the beginning of the end of Trump? Like, do you think once this election is over, he is going to be on a slow decline? I mean, he's losing sponsorship. He's lost his show. He's lost all the things.
He already was on the downward slope, anyways, in terms of his pop presence.
Yeah, yeah.
As a brand, as a real estate person, maybe he'll have to stop putting his name on letters.
Yeah.
I think I saw something. His name in big letters on his buildings. I think I saw something about Vancouver, like turning down a Trump tower or something like that.
There is a Trump tower here, but after he made the initial build the wall to Mexico, and then once he came out with the putting secret security on all the Muslims in America, then there was a huge protest saying to take the Trump off the building. Mm-hmm. People were out there with signs blocking the doors. I think that was.
But he still owns the building, right?
Still owns the building. It was just about a 2 or 3 day rampage, and then I think people got over it a little bit. Yeah. I'm sure there's a certain group.
Typical Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Get on board with something.
Riot for a day, it's all over.
Yeah.
Go back to work. Yeah.
But I want to skip back down to I want to get back to that question about supporting the Republicans, not just because of their base.
Yeah.
And no, I certainly couldn't because of their platform as well. It's just the fact that just the personalities of their base I couldn't stand being around, but also their platform I couldn't get behind. I'm 100% pro LGBT rights. I'm 100% pro choice, and the Republican Party doesn't offer anybody who would be pro gay rights, pro choice.
See,
and I couldn't get behind that. If we had a third party that was, say, a little bit more fiscally conservative and was pro rights, then I could probably be swayed away from the Democrat Party. But like I said, that's the problem with having a two-tier system.
I think that if we see the Democrats take this election, I think you're going to see a new kind of Republican candidate moving forward. You're going to see someone that's more modern, someone who has more, more kind of just an updated view of things. I mean, even the Pope, for God's sakes, is more progressive than some of these Republican candidates. So I'm just like, it shocks me that a lot of them have just not gotten on board with just real-time issues and realize that we're in a day where people want acceptance over anything else. Sorry.
Not if you visit small town America.
Could they ever change from a two-tier election system?
They certainly could. I mean, there have historically been independents who have run. I think so. I mean, a lot of conservatives think the same thing as well. A lot of conservatives think, let's go ahead and let's get a third party. Glenn Beck is a huge proponent of that. Sean Hannity hates the idea of it because he knows that it will weaken the Republican base. But you get somebody like Beck who's a rigid ideologue. He thinks that there should be he thinks that it's time, right? And I don't disagree with him.
It kind of seems like that with how many. There's too many issues to be split over just two options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's I think the biggest problem.
I agree.
But you look in Canada though, from what I understand. Again, I've been out of the country for a little while. But what can happen there is that if you get too nuanced and too spread out, then there's that opportunity for a minority government to come into place.
Well, that's what happened.
Even if they don't represent the entire nation, as long as they get 1/3, then they're in, right?
Too many people in Alberta on that last vote where the NDP got in. You got a whole bunch of the people that are at camps working when they call this election, and people aren't really worried about it because they're so heavily conservative there. But people got torn between the conservative and the Wild Rose on their vote. So instead of those guys taking 60% to one of them, they got 30 each. NDP takes 40, and then they sneak in,
right,
and just kind of backdoor themselves.
I just wanted to touch on what you were talking about before there, Thomas. Has the only one that I was listening to a couple conversations and interviews with Ted Cruz, and the impression I got was that he wasn't against gay rights. He had his views on how things should be, but it wasn't something that he would push in his platform. Did I hear that wrong? Has he been more openly against it?
Well, if he has said that he is 100% okay with a gay couple getting married, if he has said that he's okay with a gay couple getting married, but he wouldn't marry another man, then I'll change my position. But I'm pretty darn sure that he has not stated that.
I can respect that.
I guess I look at it
as everybody kind of has their views depending on their upbringing, and as long as they're not trying to shove it down my throat as something I need to believe, then I'm okay with that. And that's kind of the impression I got with Cruz, regardless of what his party as a whole might usually push. It didn't seem like that was something that was on his radar.
But that's a weak position.
Yep, fair. Yeah.
I mean, that's a very weak position, because if you're not for ending discrimination, you tacitly approve discrimination.
Yep, that makes complete sense.
There are a lot of women out there who will say, I wouldn't get an abortion, but I think that other women should be able to have an abortion. They're at least taking that pro-choice stance, even though they wouldn't do it themselves. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Versus, I don't think that anybody should, and I wouldn't get one myself, so therefore nobody should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I think you get so many people, they just get so blinded to a second opinion or spread view, right? What?
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry. Where are we?
What a good little discussion.
That's
I love
great.
today.
What was your opinion on?
I love our guest.
I was just curious because we brought her up a little bit earlier. So,
yeah.
What was your opinion? I know she's bowed out now, but how did you feel about Carly Fiorina?
She's a joke.
Okay. She was the only Republican that I was like, you know what? Sometimes when she spoke, I kind of got where she was coming from. But honestly, that was literally basically because I was choosing one person that I thought maybe. But I'm on the other side fully.
And I should have to quantify that now because the person shouldn't just throw out a statement like that without quantifying it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So first off, she was highly, highly anti-choice, and she was citing those supposed Planned Parenthood stings, which were proved 100% to be false.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys heard about that because being pro-choice isn't a big deal. At least for me, when I was living in Canada, it wasn't a hot button topic. It was something that was discussed with. Occasionally you'll see signs here and there, but it's not like it is down here.
Right.
Where if you turn your back for 1 minute, they're going to take away a woman's right to choose. There are states now where there's only one clinic in the entire state.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
Crazy.
Where women can get an abortion. They're trying to, it's still a current modern issue that is going on today.
Crazy.
So Carly Fiorina was citing these videos that were 100% wrong.
Yeah.
As a reason why she's anti-abortion. And in addition, she again is heralded as being this business person. I mean, she took Hewlett Packard, which was one of the nation's largest technology companies, and drove it into the ground. When was the last time anybody went and bought a Hewlett Packard laptop or a Hewlett Packard desktop?
I got one right in front of me right now, Tom.
I think
Oh,
those,
Jesus.
I think that
Oh,
those numbers are a bit skewed though, because just like anything through this recession that we just went through, just staying afloat would be considered a triumph since 2008.
No, but there were the driving Hewlett Packard being driven to the ground was way before that. Their decisions that they made within that company are egregious. What happened to that company is wild. Hewlett Packard now they went from one of the top tier manufacturers in the industry to now selling second-rate inkjet printers.
Yeah, you just can't.
And I work in
compete
IT.
though with
I work in IT, and they're a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess.
Thanks for sharing that.
And
yeah.
so same thing with Trump. He's a brilliant businessman. Yeah, if you consider the fact that he's gone into bankruptcy several times, and I guess you could say that's brilliant. But
well, it kind of is though, because anybody who's gone in, like you look at like a Tyson or you look at any of these big stars that go bankrupt, if you talk to them about it, it's not that they actually have no money. It's just from a business point of view.
Oh, sure, it's asset
putting in
allocation.
for bankruptcy is the best thing for their business.
Yeah, absolutely. There are definitely different types of bankruptcy that one can file for, but just because one is a good inventor doesn't mean that they're a brilliant businessman. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like a Dyson obviously he's a brilliant inventor who's I don't know his history about if he has gone into bankruptcy, but obviously a very good promoter and a very good inventor. But just because that doesn't mean that you're a brilliant businessman. You look at somebody like a Bill Gates, who was a genius business person, just a genius business person, and a promoter, and an actual engineer himself, versus or Steve Jobs, who was a genius promoter, not necessarily designer or engineer or anything like that, but he's a brilliant business person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To say Carly Fiorina's name in the same breath as a Gates or as a Jobs is a disservice to either two of those people.
That. Not at all.
Fair enough.
And if you are using Hewlett Packard there, was that Matt that said that he's using Hewlett Packard?
No, it was Ryan.
No, I have a Mac.
Definitely Matt. I'm here. I can tell.
I'll never go back to a PC.
It was a discount deal at a future.
There you go. You could
found it on the side of the road
for $4.99, right?
Yeah, they told me if I needed something for Facebook,
we need to
that'd be
get Thomas up here to take a look at our setup, see what the hell's wrong with it.
Yeah, well, Tom, come by
Hey,
next
I was already
time.
throwing out some hints out there, so
Next time you're in town, Tom, you definitely have to come by with us.
you bet.
Talk a little gun control with us.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
I know you and me got pretty deep into a few conversations about the Second Amendment and people's personal translations of it back a couple shootings ago.
Yeah.
But what's Obama been doing here to try to get some control?
Not a goddamn thing. And that's the best thing. That's the funniest thing about Obama's presidency is nobody has been better for the gun industry than President Obama. Nobody. The gun industry has boomed under him, and he has done not a thing in terms of legislation.
Hasn't he been trying recently though?
Not that I'm aware of.
What
Well, I
kind
know
of legislation?
he did do the assault weapon thing, which in my opinion was basically
Which assault weapon ban? Did he ban?
I feel like, yeah, didn't he ban any new actual assault rifles? I don't know 100%, but I feel like after Sandy Hook, that was the one thing that he did do.
Well, he tried. I think he's trying.
No, he wants to.
Oh,
He wants
okay.
to, but he hasn't actually done anything.
Okay.
You know.
So
there's a
at this
difference.
point, the only thing he can do though is an executive order to
But
do anything, correct? Because he doesn't have enough.
Right.
Okay.
And, you know, so American politics are a funny thing, and I'm not necessarily a big fan of executive orders to do X, Y, Z. Things need to be run through as a constitutional amendment.
So isn't that almost unfair, though, then, to blame him for that, since the truth is he's wanted to do a lot, but he's been stopped constantly when it comes to gun control?
Have the Democrats tried to put together a constitutional amendment? None that I'm aware of.
What
I'll have to look at
kind
that.
of legislation are you, or would you be looking for as far as gun control? Because the way I understand it is there's already quite an extensive process to buy guns. It doesn't prevent criminals from doing it the wrong way.
No, I think the problem
but
is there's a lot of gun
It
sellers.
depends state by state. All right, that's the important thing to understand, is that it's not a federal level thing.
Okay.
It's the way that states run almost like their own independent nations outside of the things that are already mandated by the Constitution and a few other federal cases, which is again another reason why I'm not a big fan of Obamacare on that front. But that'll be another subject. So state by state, county by county, city by city, they all have different laws. Just recently in Washington State, there was no requirement for private to private sales to have any sort of background check or anything like that. So I could be selling a handgun, and my crackhead neighbor could come over and buy it and go out and shoot somebody, and that sale is 100% okay.
Gotcha.
That's wild.
That was within the last 365 days. So now what they've done in Washington, I can just speak to Washington State. So now what they've done is they've made that so that can't happen. So if my crackhead neighbor wants to come and stick somebody up and he comes to buy a gun from me, I have to actually process that sale through a third party who then verifies that it's legal for him to buy that and then sell it to him.
What regulates him being legal to buy that? Like, what's the criteria?
And
Not being a crackhead?
Not being a felon.
Felon, but so he could be a crackhead, but not a felon.
Yeah.
I mean, let's
But
be honest, does that actually
quite
happen?
frankly, in the area that I live in a pretty shady area of town.
You should move.
It's a lot more
sir.
shady than it was when I lived in Newton or in Wally.
Oh, wow. I love that we're so sheltered that we're like Wally. Like,
Yeah, there are some parts of town where I live that are way worse than Wally.
Oh, when you lived that,
And Wally back
that
in the
basement
day,
suite
way
in
more
Newton
shady
there.
than. Remember how King George Highway used to be back in the day,
Yeah.
and it's pretty cleaned up now. It's worse than it was back in the day.
wow.
so, I guess what you're saying with that, if that guy sells the gun to the crackhead,
Yep.
basically he can't be prosecuted for selling the gun.
That's correct. So it's a misdemeanor the first time, and then I believe on the second time that you do not have a proper background. So what happens is, if the guy that I sell to, even if he's legal to buy the gun, let's say, and I still sell it to him without a background check, and he goes and kills somebody, it still would come back on me either as the misdemeanor on my first time or felony the second time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So even if he would have passed that background check, and I sold it to him privately anyways, it doesn't matter. So the idea behind that is then it makes the excuse harder that you were fencing guns for people, or I didn't know. Like, fencing guns would be so easy because I could go down to my local gun shop that's a block away and walk out the door with a gun that same day, right?
No,
And then I could sell it to my neighbor and just say, I didn't know that he was a bad guy. But now the current legislation makes that illegal, or at least a misdemeanor or a felony on your second or third sale or whatever.
Is that not progress then?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's progress.
I completely agree.
But that's not a federal level thing, though. That's state level.
I see.
So that's why when you say, what has Obama done? Obama's done nothing.
I see.
That's our own governor in Washington State. And quite frankly, it's not our governor. It's the way that things are done here is all these little bills and things like that and laws, everything goes to a vote. So when I go to vote, I vote with a booklet. When you guys go to vote, you vote for your local MLA or your local MP, and that's what you get. Whereas here, it's like, okay, well, do you vote to increase spending on schools? Yes, no. Do you vote for this new gun legislation? Yes, no.
See,
do you
I think
vote
that's way
to have
better.
marijuana legal? Yes, no.
I think that's better.
Sorry, what was that?
Wouldn't you rather vote on the issues versus just one person? Like, especially when it's, I mean, if we're voting for an MLA, like, if the candidate is good and you like that person in your area, and necessarily, like, Aldergrove's always been a conservative area there. You know, Aldergrove got a conservative vote this year. I forget what the exact territory is called, but yeah, if you're voting for a conservative person, but you maybe want to see a liberal federal, like, you don't even have that option.
Right. I like it. I like it.
You like the Canada or America way better?
I like being able to have that granular vote, but you have to take into account the average person who is not able to articulate their thoughts or have nuanced thoughts on things. Voting as well.
Do you feel like guns really are the problem, or do you just feel that there should be regulation regardless? Because for me, looking from the outside at America, to me it looks like a mental health issue, not a gun issue. I think that most of these things you see happening are not.
How are we
because
even
they
friends?
Have access to guns.
So here's my response to that.
People have a mental issue that is making them think it's okay to shoot up a bunch of people. And
so
most of them are on some sort or have been on some sort of antidepressants.
Okay, I'm going to destroy that argument in just 1 second.
I love him.
This is the
Come here.
Is it your opinion that the United States has a statistically significantly more or greater population of mentally ill people than, say, Canada?
I couldn't have those numbers, but by what you see happening, something's off.
Sure, but you'd have to say, so what you have to do is, to make that argument hold some water, you have to say, okay, well, if that's the case, then let's look at the level of violence between the two countries, because the two countries are close enough geographically, and have enough historic similarities, have a similar enough diverse background in terms of culture and immigration and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's not fair to say compare Denmark.
Right.
Or Sweden or Finland, even though I love to, because they're a lot more of as countries are a lot more homogenous than Canada and the United States. So let's compare Canada and the States. So you have to say, well, you know, how many people are killed per capita between the two countries? Is it similar? No, it's nowhere near the same. Now, so you just said something about SSRI or SRIs. You have to say, well, okay, well, the prevailing thought is that, oh, well, you know, that the issue is because of mental health, drugs, and this and that. Well, if you look at statistics, at least the statistics that I've looked at, say that there is no significant difference between the two nations in terms of you know, antidepressants and things like that. And some of the ones that I've read actually skew more to Canada having a higher percentage. So
I'd have to look up those stats. I guess just like I said, from the outside looking in, and the kinds of situations and the mass shootings that happen, and the number of suicides, it's hard to argue that I guess from my view that there isn't an issue with mental health, and the way it's combated with, you know, prescription drugs. And when you look at the people who have been, I think it was 90% in the last 10 years of all mass shooters have been on or were at one point on antidepressants or SSRIs.
Okay, so here's the Huffington Post on November 22nd of 2013, saying that antidepressant in Canada is amongst the highest in the world.
Interesting.
So let's see here. Let's see. I could probably pull up I know that we're live right now, so we don't want to start doing research.
No.
But I would I
we
would
can
strongly
definitely
recommend
get you on, and we actually we got to hit the next segment here, but we can definitely have you on, and I'd love to tackle that issue in a more depth way for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe after Tom, we should get a segment with you after the once the Democratic and Republican politicians
Ooh,
are
that would be
elected,
fun, yeah.
pre-presidential election. We should definitely have another talk with you about stuff.
There you go. Well, here, I'm looking at it. Yeah, Canada, the U.S. isn't even ranking on the same scale. Now, I'd have to dig a little bit higher, but in terms of pharmaceutical consumption, so yeah, I mean, it's a nice argument, but you really have to look at the numbers.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to start thinking critically about that.
Yep.
And then you have to say to yourself, well, okay, so we got a bunch of crazy people out there. Should we make it as easy as humanly possible for them to get the tools to kill people easily as possible?
I completely agree. There still needs to be something done about that issue. I wouldn't.
So that's why that's why that whole argument's a silly argument anyway.
All right, we're gonna get moving on here, Tom. Thanks for your call in there.
Give me the boot.
Yeah, we got the next guest coming on. It's going to be a completely different direction of conversation, but we'd definitely like to do another podcast with you, and we'll be in touch for sure.
Nice to talk to you, Tom.
You bet. Anytime. You guys have a good one. Keep up the good work.
Thanks for calling in.
You bet. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
That's good.
Okay.
That was so interesting.
Yeah.
For part of it, I thought I was just listening to an amazing podcast. And I'm like, fuck, I'm here. I'm part of this
shit. I need
shit.
to do more research because there's definitely some stuff that I don't agree with him, but I did not have the facts in my head. I've heard them, but I'm not going to spout half facts that I don't know.
For sure.
So, are we going to break?
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back right around 4 with Craig McLean, the MMA fighter who fights at a Battlefield Fight League. Play a little music here, and we will be back.
Thanks for coming, Sarah, as well. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Sarah.
you guys for having me.